We're getting new insight, a troubling twist into the case against Michael Wawee. He's the former Kent County Commissioner, now serving a one-year sentence after pleading no contest to charges overcharging grieving families for gravestones. But police reports we obtained now show that that wasn't the only thing that Wawee was up to. New at 6 o'clock, 24-hour News 8's Joe LaFergie is live with this story. Joe?
Yeah, Brian Wawee remains in jail here at the Kent County Jail. He just started his one-year sentence about a month ago on those embezzlement charges. He had said he was pled no contest to those earlier this year. Now, we got to look at just a small portion of a very lengthy police report now released on this case. Most of that deals with the missing money that was all tied to the case. We also found instances in which Wawee had bodies moved but did not leave a paper trail. Former Kent County Commissioner Michael Wawee's transgressions as a grave salesman for the Archdiocese of Grand Rapids are well documented. He pleaded no contest last fall after he was accused of overcharging people for grave markers, pocketing kickbacks from headstone engravers, and stealing gas from the cemetery fuel tanks. Wawee maintains he did nothing wrong, it was just business. But police reports reveal other questionable actions. One after a woman asked Wawee to move the remains of her twin children who died at birth in the 1960s to her husband's grave. Wawee allegedly had the woman write a check to a third party for $650. Now, the fact that he apparently pocketed the money should come as no surprise, but Holy Cross Cemetery has no record of the transaction. The question we raised, did Wawee have more bodies moved? While cemetery employees and the customer were on hand when the remains were allegedly moved, the customer told investigators she didn't know what, if anything, was in the containers she saw lowered into the ground. We found at least one other incident involving a body that was moved. Employees witnessed it, but again, there was no paperwork. We reached out to the Diocese of Grand Rapids. Spokesman Carl Apple says the diocese is aware of the case involving the infant's remains. They're working with the woman to get her money back and get a marker for the grave. Apple admits they may never know if the remains were actually moved into the grave. He says the diocese staff has been working to identify deals made by Wawee. But more specifically to our questions, he says with all of the publicity surrounding Wawee's case, the diocese is reasonably sure that someone with concerns over where their loved one is buried would have already contacted the diocese. Back here live at the Kent County Jail. Now, Wawee was also accused by cemetery workers of pulling a gun on them in a couple of instances. Prosecutors say they consider gun charges, but that decision to consider that was dropped after the plea agreement was reached with Wawee. Live at the Kent County Jail, Joe LaFergie, 24-hour News 8.